the way we today look at our solutions with GSI partners is how do we basically connect our ecosystem dots to bring that answer? We don't have to build everything from
Mm.
scratch.
Hmm.
We are one of the largest, I think, fastest growing marketplace ISV providers to our customers. How do we bring the power of that plus the industry knowledge and create that holistic solution for our? And you're absolutely right.
How does that co-sell process in the day-to-day, how does that actually work?
Co-sell with GSI partners, I think, is a very unique, tailored motion, right?
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Inside Partnering. Chip Rogers here, and I'm so excited to be joined by Rajiv Batra. Rajiv, first of all, welcome.
Thank you so much, Chip, for having me on the call.
Yeah, so Rajiv is director and head of GSI Partnerships for North America for Google. And we can see it on your jacket there, Rajiv. First of all, your background, you've been with a number of SI partners. So you've been with Google now for 5 years. Prior to that, with Virtusa, and then many years with Wipro, a little time with HCL in there as well. And so you've done a lot of work with as a part of SIs and GSIs, and now working with Google and managing a broad range. You really got all the top GSIs for Google for North America. So got a big job and love to hear more about it. So tell us a little bit about what you're up to these days.
First of all, thank you so much, Chip, taking this time and looking forward to this conversation, right? Very interestingly, in preparation for this call, I was also just counting the number of years and look very interestingly, this marks the 30th anniversary of me in this dynamic industry, right? Looking back, I can't even imagine 30 years is done. Throughout the journey, I had a privilege of working with some exceptional companies, some really visionary leaders, and most important and dear to me is the truly outstanding teams and colleagues which I have worked with. Right. Overall, if I go back and just look at my career, it has been constantly defined by opportunities that have challenged me. Right, challenged me to basically look at things from a different lens, like challenge the status quo overall, right? And that his path has taken me all the way from the engine room of the technology where I started as a developer on mainframe technologies, right? I still remember back in the days, all the way working with the business teams, helping them basically define the core processes, how exactly we can reinvent our business, right? And then ultimately leading me to heading the enterprise sales organization for Wipro and Virtusa, right? Where I was guiding our global customers through data, cloud, AI, the whole cutting edge technology part of it, right? Over the past 5 years, I have been with Google Cloud, and it has been a great honor, right? Focusing on the partner ecosystem. It really helps, again, as I mentioned, right? Challenged me to look at things in different lens because me coming from the GSI world, managing sales and managing customer ecosystem
Yeah.
customers, now to basically working with the partner ecosystem. And then if you look at the whole orchestration of this role currently brings the strength of our partner and the Google Cloud, how do we basically work together in that joint ecosystem to deliver the outcomes for our customers? Right? Again, we'll get deeper into it, but the best part is this: even after 30 years, I wake up every day more excited in this whole era of AI, right? Because I think we are at the dawn of this AI era. We can help our customers fundamentally transform their business. So super excited to be here, Chip. Thank you so much.
Yeah, fantastic, Rajiv. It is amazing how the pace of change these days, when AI has just accelerated everything so quickly. And I think we're still at in the early stages, right? And so everyone's really trying to figure out, how do we apply this technology? How do we apply it both for our customers? How do we apply it internally? And so there's so much to do and so much to learn along the way. So
Absolutely.
why don't we talk a little bit about think of kind of the life cycle of partnerships with Google, and you're building things with partners together. So they're bringing solutions, they're bringing services to put together packages. It could be industry solutions, and then the sort of co-market and co-sell. Think of it in that sort of those terms. So let's start with the co-build side. How does that work? How are you working with some of your top GSI partners to bring solutions to market.
Absolutely. A lot of times when we work with GSIs and consulting partners, there is a notion that it's more focused on process consulting, more focused on implementation, more focused on support, and so on. I will say that's not fully true. Our GSIs partners spend a lot of effort and their knowledge bank to really build solutions for our customers together, right? And that is the knowledge which basically helps us position our products and their services in a much more value oriented way to our end customers. So let me take some examples. On the build part of it, as we start our typical business year planning, which we started, we focus on what exactly pick a industry. That's our core first, right? Pick a industry,
Hmm.
focus on what exactly are the common patterns which we are seeing in that industry, the challenges our customers are facing today.
Yeah, yeah,
And then how do we bring the best of industry knowledge? We are working on the product side of it, but our partners are working with a healthcare customer or a financial services team or a telecom customers for last 30 plus years. So they have the industry knowledge, they know the pain area they go with, and how do we work together with them to build that solution part of it, right? Which can actually help transform that. So our journey on the solutions, it's an ever-going journey, but it starts way before our typical business planning, where my team works with the partner, understands the areas which they are focusing on, work with them to co-build a solution which can help our customers. And I can get deeper into exact solutions, but that is the place where I think the incremental value really comes shines together. Just example, I was at HIMSS, as I mentioned recently, and one of my partners, they have been working with us to build this interoperability solution. As in a healthcare provider market, you have lot of data with respect to multimodal data, with respect to images, with respect to voice to text, with respect to actual patient records, and so on. And how do you bring all together with the power and knowledge, power of tools like Gemini together to really synthesize that information and get insights? And how do you do that in a HIPAA compliant environment with all the securities and guardrails together,
yeah,
right? So one of our partners have built a complete solution on interoperability for our healthcare provider system using our technologies, and now we are basically going to market, right? So building is the foundation of how we differentiate with our customers.
yeah. I love hearing that because I think these days there is so much there's some blurring of the lines between you have the traditional ISV, they're building IP and then selling that, and then you have service providers that are delivering, but they're also building IP at the same time and putting solutions together, and it could be a sort of a collaboration of multiple solutions. So it sounds like that's exactly what you're talking about.
Absolutely. I loved your line which you meant blurring of lines. Absolutely. I can't agree more, right? There were days, if I go back, we look at an ISV provider and box them into a ISV and nothing much to do with me. The way we today look at our solutions with GSI partners is how do we basically connect our ecosystem dots to bring that answer? We don't have to build everything from
Mm,
scratch. We're
exactly.
looking at a solution, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you another example,
And
right?
Google
Like
has a rich ecosystem of partners to bring to bear. Yeah.
exactly. Like, how do I basically work? And we are one of the largest, I think, fastest growing marketplace ISV providers to our customers. How do we bring the power of that plus the industry knowledge and create that holistic solution for our? And you're absolutely right. The lines are way blurred now.
That's fascinating. And I think a lot of you mentioned you were just at HIMSS. A lot of the solutions, especially with GSIs, they have very deep knowledge in specific industries, healthcare, manufacturing, retail, finance. Talk a little bit about that and how that informs how you're building solutions together and bringing them to market with GSIs.
Very exciting times. I'll take an example and that we'll get deeper into it, right? Um, when you look at manufacturing is a layered market, right? There is a lot of layers to that whole industry, right? it goes all the way from whether it's process manufacturing to construction part of it to mining and so on, right? And some of these roles, some of these jobs are really difficult for anybody, right? For example, there is a customer of ours who actually has to do mine inspection, potential hazardous conditions where
Mhm.
you are different kind of minerals and gases coming out.
Yeah.
And a partner of mine, what we did was work with them, and they had a perfect solution where they had this quadrupeds, the robotic four-arm dogs, which you typically see, but you're technically called quadrupeds. They had quarterbacks basically completely integrated with our models to build a solution which can now take care of that whole journey of inspection without a human actually having to go through any of those hazardous.
Hmm.
And that's just one example, right? If you look at basically other areas, like take a financial services example where AML has been one of the biggest core processes of any financial services and one of the most difficult ones, because we are talking of millions and billions of records and matching and trying to find exactly what exactly is the patterns and frauds.
Yeah.
Traditionally, it has basically run on a rule based platform, right? You have a rule. If this record matches this rule, flag it, and somebody will basically look into that issue, right? One of our partners has been turned the whole thing upside down, right? How do we go from a rule based thing to a pattern based matching, but not just matching?
Hmm.
Once you are able to flag that issue, how do you basically now do the research and insights, a agentic way of doing that research in insights before it really comes down to the human to basically check for false positive or false negative, right? So I think building that solution shows the to the end customer how do they realize value from the underlying tech we have. I can talk about the fastest car I have. If I don't know how to drive it, it really doesn't make sense. So we have the best tech. Our partners help us basically showcase that value of that tech in that particular industry.
Fascinating. You mentioned agentic, and Google has so many, Google's at the forefront of AI and agentic with so many product launches, and I'm sure you'll have more at Next coming up in a few weeks. Talk a little bit about how AI has impacted your work and working with partners, and how are partners helping deliver that to customers?
AI is a topic which we basically cannot skip in any instance nowadays, right?
Yeah.
I like to talk with examples. I like to share things which really relate to each one of us, right? If you are having this discussion, say, a year back or something, I will be heads down with my notepad and a pen and scribbling notes. Like I'm trying to capture every detail in the meeting to make sure that I have it clear and I have the action item. But today, if you look at it, I'm fully present. I'm not taking any notes. And there'll be some AI in our typical calls which actually transcribes. So, like we have Gemini, which basically transcribes the call. But if you look at the what does that mean, right? So, where's the real power? The real power of transformation is not about the capture of data which we do, right? Oh, we captured and transcribed the call. That's not the real power. That's the starting of the journey. The journey basically then turns from taking that data and moving into insights from the agent, and
Mhm.
then moving that insights to creating value. How do we do that, right? So my personal favorite, using obviously Gemini in our Gemini enterprise ecosystem internally, I have created my own AI chief of staff, right? And I love it. I'm yet to give a name actually for it. I just love that chief of staff. And you know why? Because gone are the days where I start my day with a cluttered inbox and trying to basically figure out what exactly I should focus on right now, right? Today, I start my day talking to my AI chief of staff who's able to basically go through my cluttered email box, go through my key action items and tasks, and tell me basically what is important for today, how my day looks like, what are the key pressing items, and I need to be focusing on
Yeah.
throughout the day during my calls. It basically has the transcript of my important calls, and I end my day by wrapping up the day to basically just talk about and things what we have accomplished and what we need to do for tomorrow. But this is just on a personal side, right? So I'm sure you'll have a lot of examples. Hey, Rajiv, I know a lot of productivity examples. I know a lot of nano banana examples, how the AI is getting used. Let me actually give you a couple of core business processes examples, how me and my team and our partners have used AI to really transform the core business which we do, right?
Mm. Yeah.
One of the thing which we always start, every partner, all of us start the year is joint business planning, right?
Yep.
Traditionally, we basically do the same old model. Look at the accounts. Where are you present? Where I am present? Which is the incumbency? How do I map the accounts or territories which we need to go after it, right? How do I basically, which place I should sell? That whole notion has been grounds up data collection and hoping that you will connect two accounts and make some magic happen. We have turned it totally upside down.
Mm.
When we sat for business planning this year, we did not use that model at all.
Mm.
We use
Wow.
automated forward looking model in terms of getting the insights from all the things we have done in last 4 or 5 years, because all these partners have been working along with us for a long time, and focusing on how the partner and us can deliver unique value in a particular area or a particular customer, right? We have moved away from spending time on data gathering to alignment on scalable and joint solutions, right? So that is just one example. The other one, which is very near and dear to me, is one of the things which comes out of a business plan is, here is a sales play, let's run a campaign to make it as a scalable play across x amount of customers or x amount of industry customers, right?
Yeah.
Traditionally, that always starts with the pitch deck, right? First call pitch deck, second call pitch deck, how do we handle objections and so on. This year we have turned it upside down. I have partners, we have our internal portals which partners have shared with us, where for every pitch deck we have solution catalogs, we have demos available, we have scripted messages which are created for a particular customer, right? So we have our own Gemini demo creation tool internally, which can help us basically envision the market challenges. We share the problems and it actually helps us build demoable solution, right? So no more are the days where I'm basically getting into a meeting and not sharing my screen. Nowadays it's not PPT, I share my screen, we run through the demo, and we basically run how is the art of possible looks like. So yeah, it's fascinating. I think personal productivity is obviously important, but I think AI is helping us go beyond that part and create that 10x value creation with the collaboration and strategy with our partners.
That's terrific.
Sorry, long answer. I'm so passionate about a lot
No.
of things we do, but I just wanted to make sure that I'm happy to discuss more on these.
Yeah. It's just such an exciting time for all of those capabilities that are just and moving so fast. It's terrific. Talk a little bit. So you have a pretty big team. You have to cover those. You're covering basically 6 major GSIs. You have a team of 12. How do you talk a little bit about the process of going to market with those partners and the co-sell process? I think is really something that I think a lot of folks would like to understand better. How are you working with the SI partners to identify? And you talked about the planning process, right? Looking at who's the incumbent, who's got relationships. How does that co-sell process in the day-to-day, how does that actually work?
First, I would like to thank my phenomenal team and partners. They have been awesome. It's been a great journey together. Co-sell with GSI partners, I think, is a very unique, tailored motion, right? And I truly mean it, and I'll tell you why, right? Our partners are sitting with the leadership of a customer, really helping them take that next big challenge.
Hmm.
And there is nothing called reactive in that business. It's always about you have business and partners have to look for what exactly going to be changing and shaping the future in next era and be ready for that. Our co-sell motion starts with, as I mentioned first, we look at the industries, we actually go down to the sub industry part of it. So for example, for me, it's no more FSI is too big, right? I have to go narrow down myself and say, what exactly is the challenging a insurance company is facing right now. And
Hmm.
then a step further, right? Should I go after a PNC? If I'm going to a PNC insurance company versus a company which focus more on life and annuity, it's totally two different worlds, right? So
Right.
what exactly are the problems our in that industry is facing? We jointly come up with, in order to address that challenge, what exactly are the solutions and things which we have together built or at least demoable. And that is our starting motion. Once we have that, we basically work on a triangulation basis where it's partner, our Google sellers, and my team. We all come together to see how exactly we can best position to position that in front of our customers and help them transform, right?
Hmm.
We are really shifting from, there is nothing called, in my view, this nothing called partner source, Google source. It's truly about co-selling to the end ecosystem together, right?
Yeah.
Because we're trying to get signals which can help us basically make a better positioning or a value pitch to our customers. The second thing which we do work closely is like, how do we focus on predictable and scalable engagements, right? For example, the tools or the products in this ecosystem are evolving very fast, right? We are talking about Gemini Enterprise today. We were not talking about Gemini Enterprise 16 months back, right? The whole product was basically, I think, GA only 9 or 10 months back, right? And when you have this new product suite coming up, you want to scale, but you also want to do it in a fashion where our customers are able to see value from the adoption of that. And that is the place where the scale meets the tailored expertise of our partners together, right?
Mhm.
So we
Mhm.
work with our partner closely in terms of how this product for this particular customer base can be scalable, easy to adopt, and they start realizing the value. I always believe, right? I can, if whatever I sell, if the adoption and the value is not seen, I'll be back to a questioning table after a few months in front of my customers, right? So this is the place where our partners help a lot. So at a net, there are metrics we measure, but for me, the joint value is, how do we create that motion on pre-sale side of it? So that's one motion of it.
Mhm.
And the second motion is on the post-sale side of it, because it's a continuous journey. We have sold something. How do we basically help customer on the adoption journey part of it? First part is the value realization and helping them differentiate with our tech and their expertise. But the second part is more about adoption, value realization, transforming their core business using the tech together.
That makes me think of just the uh, so something else we were gonna talk about, which is measurement, and I think it's really so important that you've got all these technologies and they're terrific, but you don't want it to be shelfware. How do you make sure that are you looking at how the customer, how partners are you're measuring partners, but then also customer outcomes as well?
Absolutely. Measurement is in the partner ecosystem, right? We are working on this, as I mentioned, bringing the ecosystem together, and there are a lot of influencing part there. So the way we have looked into it is, for us, there is a data part of the piece, which is the measurement part of it, and I'll talk about it, right?
Hmm.
Which basically demonstrates the performance of a partner, and that could be the influenced booking, the influenced revenue,
Yeah.
and the kind of capability and certifications they have, right? But then there is a second piece of the whole approach is the future potential. And that is the place where it is about the executive alignment and the
Mm.
joint business planning and the joint build solutions together. And in my view, looking at either of these in a silos is actually totally a wrong approach. So what we try to look at is in a totally holistic manner, right? How exactly a partner is helping us in incremental value with respect to revenue, with respect to bookings, and how exactly partner is aligned in terms of the future potential overall, right? And in middle, if you ask me, right, we do have this measurement of capabilities. And for me, it especially for the GSI partner, for me, that's the starting gate we've already crossed. In terms of certification, especially you name it, and our partners have it. So that's the starting base we start with,
Yeah.
at least in the GSI world.
Yep.
And then we build on top of it. How do we win together? That is the pre-sales part of it. And how do we help our customers adopt? That is the post-sales part of it, right? So those are the ways which we have measure our partners.
Yeah. Yeah. Rajiv, I'm also curious with the team of 12, and they've all working with major partners, right? These are large GSI partners. How do you think about managing the team, motivation, making sure that they're engaged in the right thing and they're delivering the right things to Google? How do you think about that, sort of managing the team process?
Interesting. Did you ask? Again, my philosophy with my team is pretty simple, right? It's I want you to be you, which basically means like are in a very high EQ environment, right?
Hmm.
We are in an environment where my team is in meetings with where there is a customer leader, there is a senior leader from our side of it, and then there are managing partners and partners from the partner,
Yeah.
and bringing them all together, bringing that value in terms of how my partner can help you really achieve the goals which you're going after. It's a very intense high EQ work, right? So the way I basically like to work with my team is I want to enable them with the data and the insights which we already are seeing it, right? So that's something which they should not be spending time on. I want them to basically be. I really focus on you run your partnership as your core business, and look at a healthy business. And it's not just about one metrics or two metrics. It's about,
Hmm.
in business, I always say it's a consistency of how are we building pipeline and how are we basically going after governance, and right? That is more important sometimes than just meeting the numbers, right? Meeting numbers are important, I'm not saying that, right?
Yeah.
I've been the PLN owner for a very long time. For me, it is always that consistency and predictability in terms of how do you run business. So the way I basically is I let my team use me as the unblocker, right? I'm like, you have things where things are not moving. Let me help you unblock them. The
Yeah.
third thing basically which I spend a lot of time with my team is growing at this phenomenal rate. Our partners, as I mentioned, like I think I mentioned before we started this call, right? We are in this unique situation where our partners are reinventing their models, engagement models with their customers.
Mm.
Our customers are reinventing, and we are building our products at an enormous pace right now, right? When you have so many things moving together, one thing you can get lost very soon is how do you prioritize what is important for you, how do you prioritize what exactly I should be focusing on versus doing everything. So one of the things which I spend a lot of time with my team is helping them with that whole clarity of prioritization, clarity on what is important for you to be successful.
Mm.
I'm
Mhm.
only successful when you are, right? So my role is to help them with that journey, that clarity, so that they are not basically waking up and say, I got this email, I need to respond to this. Help them prioritize it, right? This is important, and this is something which is good for you, and this is something which is nice to have, but it'll be nice if you whenever you. And those three things in my mind is I wake up every day to make sure that I want to make my team's life easier every day. So that's my core mantra every day.
Rajiv, this has been fantastic. Gosh, I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing so many insights. You have a big job at Google and managing the top GSI partners for Google for North America, and just terrific work, and really appreciate you sharing your insights today.
Thank you so much, Chip, again for taking the time. I didn't even realize that we are already more than 30 minutes done.
That's right.
It's always nice when you are having a dialogue and a open flow of discussion. So thank you so much for those probing questions. Again, I'm so thankful for the opportunity I have within the ecosystem to be here even after 30 years, to help transform our customers. And I love working with my team, but more importantly, I'm so thankful to my manager, Gina, who's actually been always given me that clarity, which I can actually pass it on to the next level. So
That,
thank you again, Chip, so much.
that's fantastic. And I had Gina on the podcast just, I think, maybe middle of last year, as well as Jim. Rajiv, great to have you here today, and really appreciate you taking the time. And thanks for joining. And thank you all for joining another episode of Inside Partnering. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe on Substack. So thanks everybody for joining, and we will see you next time. Thanks, Rajiv.